So, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the fourth episode of Sampark Live, brought to you by Pine Labs. My name is Glyril Pereira, and I manage loyalty and strategic partnerships for Pine Labs. Right. Today, we have an extremely important subject that we are going to be talking about, and it's something that it generates a lot of interest, right, across the spectrum. It's about how do we win back customers, especially post the lockdown, and to share some valuable insight on how do we do that, right? We have two industry professionals, right, who are going to be sharing their experience on how do we as professionals use that to get more customers. The first one being Neha Gupta. She's a partner at Boston Consulting Group, and we also have Pallavi Agarwal, who's an associate vice president distribution at Hindustan Coca-Cola Beverages Private Limited. So while that does not do justice to to them, I would like to have Neha say a couple of words before we begin. Neha, please.
Thank you, Glyril. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here on the webinar. I am Neha Gupta. I am a partner with the Boston Consulting Group, BCG, and I work primarily in the financial services domain. And over the last couple of months, I have been working very closely with many banks, lenders, payment players on what is the impact of COVID, how should we manage it with the rising and changing consumer sentiment, and what is it that we should do as the country unlocks. So very happy to be here and share my views and answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Neha. Pallavi, would you tell us a brief about yourself, please?
Sure. Thank you so much, Glyril. Happy to be here. I am a part of Hindustan Coca-Cola Beverages, and as you're aware, it's a sales and distribution company. And for us, in fact, distributors and retailers form the backbone of our business. We work very closely with retail merchants across the industry, whether it is kiranas, bakeries, convenience, wholesale, omni-channel, modern trade, eating, dining. So a very relevant space for us. And like Neha said, even for us as an organization, last couple of months, we've been working very closely in this space because COVID, we have seen, is leading to a lot of changes on the ground, both from the consumer behavior perspective as well as from the supply chain, retailer, distributor perspective. And, as an organization, we've really been in this space and happy to be here, discuss it out and see how a discussion like this and many more can be useful for the benefit of the industry in these tough times. So looking forward to it.
Thank you very much, Neha and Pallavi, for that. It really helps. Before we get into the questions, right, for the benefit of the attendees, I'd just like to let you all know on the flow. We have a Q&A section to the right of the screen, and you could all put in your questions and list them down. We will go through each at the end of this session. As you all know, it's a 40 or 50-minute session, and we will have a good 15 minutes to answer all your questions post we finish this conversation with Neha and Pallavi. Right. So without any further delay, let me get to the first question. And the first question is a common question, right? It talks about what are the major challenges offline retailers will face when restarting their operations post the lockdown, right? It's a very interesting question, and to answer that, if I could request Pallavi to share your insights first.
Definitely, thanks for this. I think a very relevant question in these times, and I'll give a very small example of the kind of challenges we are seeing which the retailers are facing as they're starting operations. And something as basic as we have coolers, and coolers have been shut down for a long time, and they need to be deep cleaned. And these are very basic realities. So I'll put this in very simple 6 to 7 buckets. I would say managing consumer demand, ensuring liquidity, the supply chain disruptions and the impact of that to our retailers, the management of store operations itself, because social distancing, proper hygiene is going to be one big piece, ensuring health and safety, both for the shoppers as well as for the employees of the retailers themselves, is going to be one big piece. And finally, something very relevant to our industry will be inventory management. I mean, there are products which are low shelf life, outlets have been closed for a long time, and are opening slowly. So what is the impact of that? So these are very, very obvious challenges which we believe retailers will face. And I think as operations restart, one needs to keep them in mind.
Yeah, that's a very valid point, right, Pallavi, because even inventory going forward, we, retailers, and we would need to be cognizant of the fact that we are very scientific about the demand,
Yes.
so that there is no wastage, right? So I think all these will result in rethinking, the entire kind of supply chain as against what was practiced erstwhile, right?
Totally.
Neha, please, I'd like to hand this over to you to share some insight on this question too.
Absolutely. And I think, Pallavi, you covered a large aspect, and I think you covered most of them. So I'll probably just add one more and then highlight one of the others that you spoke about. So I think one other important aspect, and we are seeing as we are tracking demand, is the rise of digital payments. So the way of making payments when customers come to all of these shops is significantly changing. And over the last 3 months, when we have tracked payments, there is almost a 60% rise in digital payments and roughly about a 40% fall in cash payments. True, not just for online ordering, but also in shop. So I think for merchants and retailers, it is very important to have the right infrastructure from a payment perspective to be able to service to that demand. So that was one thing. I think the other thing I would just like to add on Pallavi's point of the consumer demand change is, again, just using some numbers, almost 65% people are expecting a reduction in income. And that will automatically start translating into how they spend. The spend categories are shifting. The trust in larger brands is coming back because people feel more comfortable from a hygiene factor. So really, what kind of stocking up do we do also needs to undergo a shift with that underlying change in demand.
Got it. Yeah, that's a very fair point, right? It would vary based on the category of merchant you are. So it's never like a one size fits all. But interesting to understand, how this has eventually changed the entire planning. What used to happen before and now how we are going to plan going ahead. So it will be interesting to understand, and this is where I think the experience comes to the fore. When we do like a recalibration, we need to understand that your investment is not, so much that you end up over investing in a particular product or commodity, right? So yeah, I think very, very interesting, insights over there. I have another common question, right? And this one is, what changes can be expected in the win back customer strategy before and after the lockdown, right? And Neha, I think you could continue.
So very fair question, Gladys, and actually it flows very well with the discussion we were just having on the previous question. And if we start looking at it, it's very important to split the demand into two. So there are some changes that are happening today, which is almost a reaction to the crisis. Now, some of these changes are changes that consumers will carry forward even post the COVID crisis, even post the lockdown, which is what we call a structural shift in thinking. And if I just go back a few years, when the SARS crisis hit, actually in China, that was when Alibaba took off, because that was the advent of online commerce in 2003. So, that because people got used to online shopping. So that's the kind of a shift which is almost like a permanent shift that happens. So if you coming back to the part of what are the winning strategies in this during and post lockdown period, I would again list a few, right? So one is about saying, I'm probably going back to the part, but I fundamentally believe the payment mechanism will change. Customers will order more online. So one is payment, but even customers do not necessarily want to visit the shop. If we look at China, which is a little ahead of the curve in terms of the COVID comeback, people are still stocking up, and not necessarily by visiting, but can we create a delivery mechanism so that people can get stuff at home? So I think that is one big customer shift. The second customer shift will be also in terms of what kind of purchases do people make, and that becomes a link back to our customer service. What is the service that I'm offering to the customers? Which products? Is it preventive? Is it more curative? If it's healthcare, if it's media, is it more in-home versus out of home? So, within each category, like you said, Larry, we have merchants and retailers from different categories. But for each of them, they need to think about which is a sustained shift in demand. And that is what we need to cater to going forward.
I think you made a very valid point, right, Neha, being there, for the customer at the right moment. So while the demand may be the way it is, but if you are not relevant in terms of home delivery, then you are going to be losing out on, right? So that's a very valid point, and I think it is. It is something that all industries and merchants are working upon, so that they can cater to the customer at any point in time, be it if a customer decides to leave the house, or if the customer decides to get services within their premise of their home. Fair enough. Pallavi, please share some insight on this question pertaining to strategies pre and post the lockdown.
I will just add on this, Glyril. Actually, what we are seeing from our industry perspective, and Neha did talk about, is the omni-channel play. And I think for the retailers of different sizes, different categories, different spaces, I think online, and especially when we are offline retailers, we are scared of this term of online, and I would say right now is the time to adapt to these changes, because omni-channel is a new buzzword. I mean, O2O, which is online to offline, offline to online, is going to was anyways going to happen, I would say, in India, but it has kind of become, it's coming earlier thanks to COVID, and I think it's a big opportunity to keep connecting with the consumers, and I would say that is going to be one big differentiated strategy to win back customers. And only one point I'll add beyond this is being responsible. I think it is up to the retailers to be responsible in these times. These are tough times. COVID scare is not behind us, at least in India, and we don't see it going away for some more time. So I think being responsible, following all the regulations, ensuring safety, hygiene is going to be one big differentiator, because it's okay to do it for some time, short period of time. But to keep doing it month after month for the balance of the year is going to be challenging, is going to really require a change in the way of looking at it. And I think that basic piece itself is going to be a game changer in my mind. So that's what I'd add.
I think, in all of this, what really comes out is that you need to adopt agility, right? At the end of the day, you may have been practicing a particular process, but times have changed. And now we don't know what is going to be the end, which essentially means that you have to adapt, this, and be agile for whatever comes our way. So I think, I think we've made a very good start. Some very important insights. I'm really hoping, the attendees are gaining out of these insights that are being shared. So let's get into specifics now, right? And this question is for Neha. And the question is, with difficult economic conditions and people losing their jobs, consumers might hold back on impulsive buying. How do we win back those customers?
So, Glyril, very, very fair question. And the economy is tough. People are losing jobs. Income, like we were saying, kam ho rahi hai logo ki, and it is not easy for people to spend. There are two aspects. One is कि हमारी income कम हो रही है. Two, even अगर हमारी income है, we don't know कितना लंबा चलेगा, right? So what we typically call, people are in a safety mode, that let me save, let me keep money with me rather than going and spending. And again, if I just use China as a parallel, almost 50% people are only buying to stock up on the essential. जो हम जाकर दुकान में कहते थे, अच्छा let me go and see यहाँ पे कुछ नया आया, is there a new chocolate, is there a new toy that I need to buy for my kid, वो सारी kind of buying has significantly gone down. Almost 40% people are saying मुझे leisure shopping नहीं करनी है इस समय, मुझे बस अपना essential खरीदना है and I have to go back. And that's what the mindset of people is. It is true in China, it is equally true in India. I was reading a report which said कि malls खुल गए हैं but malls में लोग नहीं आ रहे. So it is as good as there is no demand of it. And therefore the question becomes कि if the income is less, people are wary. am I not just talking the right thing, am I giving the right offer? And that links to saying the offer that Glyril needs to get is different from what Pallavi wants, is different from what Neha wants. So, and that is a strategy which people need to adopt. Saying, मैं इस तरह का काम करती हूँ, इस जॉब में हूँ, इस सिटी की हूँ, और ये लाइफ स्टेज है मेरी, मेरे पास मेरे हस्बैंड है, मेरे बच्चे हैं, तो मुझे इस तरह की शॉपिंग का ऑफर चाहिए. वर्सेस समवन एल्स जो कि अकेला रह रहा है, माइग्रेंट है, हैज कम बैक फ्रॉम हिज होम टाउन इनटू द सिटी. He wants a very different kind of a thing. So the customer strategy also depends on when I'm giving an offer. Am I giving it for my need? या फिर मैं सबको same offer दे रही हूँ? Because then people have no interest in that offer.
I think you shared a very valid point. It boils down to personalization, right? And when you personalize, that is when you actually ignite loyalty. Because at the end of the day, I will continue going to maybe a big bazaar, because a big bazaar would reach out to me at the right time with the right kind of products that I am probably depleting maybe by the end of the month, right? As against someone just sending me a generic message, although there is no need. So it definitely boils down to personalization, and you can only get personalization if you use tools like loyalty plus analytics. So I think these tools are extremely important, which can be definitely used as catalyst, I think, to win back customers. Fair enough. That's.
Iron, maybe if I take one more minute to the point that you made, let me just add a very real example. So Starbucks, which we all know, is a very big player in personalization and analytics. And the way they do it is it's based on the loyalty app. So if I am crossing a Starbucks and bahar barish hai, I will be given a hot coffee offer. Versus if I am in another city, walking where there is sunshine, I will be given a cold coffee offer. So that's personalization. Rather than giving me a 10% off on hot coffee in a summer weather, which no one will use. But that they know because they are mapping which street am I crossing and what is, because of the loyalty program. So that's the combination of loyalty and analytics which people end up using.
Yeah, that's a very valid point. Yeah, I mean, to get to that level of personalization, I think struggling to, but I think that's the way forward. To be very honest, the era of mass blast and marketing messages in bulk, I think that's not going to work in. Fair enough.
Exactly.
Pallavi, this question's for you, and the question is, how essential will customer loyalty programs be in winning back customers post lockdown? I know it's a slight overlap of the last question, but here it's more about loyalty as, I think, a service to bring back these customers who may or may have not been lost.
No, absolutely. I think it's a very relevant question, and I think we're all asking this. And I would put it like this, Glyril, that's the way I see it. Honestly, Indian retailers, जो हमारे किराना है, हमारे neighborhood outlets हैं, जो हमारे regular outlets हैं, जहाँ पे जाके हम लोग purchases करते हैं. I mean, so these fancy terms of loyalty came much later. If you ask me, the fact that my kirana person knows me by name, unko mera naam pata hai, he actually remembers, what I purchased. There is a behavior in his mind. He knows कि अगर मैं आई हूँ तो he will remind me कि अरे आपने बच्चे का Horlicks नहीं खरीदा. Yeah, whatever. This is what loyalty is all about, right? I mean, this is how it all started. And I would say, and somewhere I believe that these basics never go out of fashion. In fact, thankfully for us, हमारे पास आज we have more data. We have more ways to know what's happening, what's going on. And that adds on to the consumer experience. And I would say, definitely in these times, especially once we come out of COVID or as we revive back, these are going to be important. उसके साथ अगर हम data analytics add कर लें तो all the more हमारे को उसमें help होगी, हम लोग सही तरीके से अपने consumers से communicate कर पाएंगे. More importantly, हमने अभी एक discuss करा कि right SKU strategy. One of the big changes I have been seeing in my neighborhood kiranas is that आजकल जब consumers जाते हैं तो वो monthly shopping purchase prefer कर रहे हैं versus a weekly top up, जो कि एक बीच में एक trend आ गया था. तो suddenly अगर मैं कोई भी packs देखती हूँ तो मेरे को बड़े packs ज़्यादा दिखाई दे रहे हैं compared to single use packs. Now ये consumer behavior shift है. Discretionary spends are going down. तो उसके वजह से essentials पे ज़्यादा focus चला गया है. This is a consumer behavior change. तो जितना ज़्यादा हम इसको स्टडी करेंगे और इसको एनालाइज करेंगे, एंड आई थिंक आवर रिटेलर्स, इंडियन रिटेलर्स हैव दैट स्ट्रेंथ ऑलरेडी. आई थिंक उसको बस हमें नेक्स्ट लेवल पे लेकर जाना है. Only one call out I will say, and I must call that out. I think financial viability of the retailers is very critical right now. So these times in the last couple of months, जो consumption behavior हमने देखा है, consumption has gone down slightly while it is coming back. So I will say, instead of going too fancy, I think simple, basic, using data, using analysis, and understanding your consumer is going to be the key. And basis on that, loyalty program will definitely help us. Just that it has to be very simple, very easy to use, and very relevant in these times.
Yeah, I think simplicity is the core here, right? We don't need to get too complicated about what that loyalty program it is. I would say that you go to a shop, and as long as you are gratified for those spends in a very simple way, it could be maybe through a cashback, through a discount, or maybe through some loyalty points. I think that is what the customer remembers, right? And then when you have those points, you eventually go to that same store because those points that have been accorded to you have some value, right? So I think simplicity is the key. Fair point. Pallavi, again, right? I have this question for you, which is, have you seen any shift in marketing spends as a result of COVID-19? And should small and medium businesses continue to up their marketing efforts in reaching out to prospective customers?
So honestly, definitely yes. मतलब the industries जहाँ पे हम लोग काम करते हैं, we are seeing कि marketing spends को या तो hold पे डाल दिया है या shift कर दिया है for some time, because हमें पता ही नहीं था कि क्या होगा. There was so much of uncertainty that we didn't know when we will come out of it. Till when will the industry really revive? I mean, suddenly जब lockdown हुआ था तो सब कुछ रुक गया था. So yes, there has been a shift. At the same time, the fact that economy is opening up, there's so much of measures by the administration to ensure that the economy comes back. We are seeing consumption coming back, and I also believe that marketing spends will come back, maybe not to the full extent, but they will. Now, should the small and medium-sized businesses continue their marketing efforts? If they have a model already existing, yes. If not, interestingly, today technology gives us so many options. I mean, WhatsApp pe pamphlets bhejna, to your loyal consumers is one very basic example. In assuring them कि हम home delivery कर सकते हैं, हम digitized payment लेंगे. Neha was mentioning about digitized payment. It's a big piece today. So those basic assurances are also a way of marketing, right? Because you're connecting to your consumer, you are understanding their demand, and you're responding to that. And our consumers are looking for these shifts today. So responding to those shifts and giving them, again, I am a strong believer in simplicity. So simple solutions जो कि हम retailers manage कर सकते हैं, a simple communication of assurance goes a long way. So definitely yes, but again, I will come back to financial viability, and I will always keep, doing the cost benefit analysis there, and just continue the right effort in the right direction. It's a matter of time when companies will also come back with the marketing efforts anyway.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head over there in terms of using your kind of your view whether you should be actually spending much more or you should continue with what you have been spending, right? Because if you look at how the industry has been, right, I think you need that limited marketing, right, as a baseline to ensure that you get those customers, right, coming to you. But if you have to get more and more customers, right, and depending upon how the situation changes, you will have to take that chance, and it will end up in that cost benefit analysis that you do, whereby you may say that, okay, fine, in the short term or medium term, I will take this punt of maybe putting so much of marketing dollars to either retain or get a slightly larger market share, right? Thanks Pallavi for that. Neha, this question's for you, and the question is, post this lockdown, safety will be a major concern for all, right? Do you think contactless payment modes can contribute towards maintaining safety measures? Also, with consumers changing their buying behavior, do you think we can expect an increase in the volume of digital payments?
Absolutely. I think, Lydell, very, very fair question. Contactless payments, digital payments is I believe it is like one of those online shifts or e-commerce shifts that happened 10 years back with the SARS, right? It is a payment shift that will be here to sustain. And again, I'm a big fan of numbers because data for me is the ultimate source of truth. So let me again use some numbers. If we go 3 years back, when digital payments किसी को नहीं पता थे, बहुत fancy word लगता था कि कुछ है, सब cash ATM सब यूज करते थे. That time UPI was 0%. Since UPI has started, FY20 जो अभी मार्च में खत्म हुआ है, उसके जो रिजल्ट्स आए हैं, almost 25% of all transactions in the financial industry was done on UPI. So if 4 transactions were done, 1 out of those 4 was in UPI. And in that, Google Pay, WhatsApp Pay, Phone Pay, all of them are just taking a large share. So as technology advances, digital payments are really coming up. The second, in contactless, so that contactless payment I think is here to stay. Even if I don't do pure contactless, the move from cash to at least digital channels, whether it is a credit card or it is a debit card, but even that is here to stay. If I combine these two, probably almost half of the transactions over the next 3 years, सेकेंड जना हमारा जो ट्रांजैक्शन कर रहा होगा वो डिजिटल पेमेंट से कर रहा होगा. इट कैन बी अ यूपीआई, इट कैन बी अ वॉलेट, इट कैन बी अ क्रेडिट कार्ड, बट कैश यूसेज विल रियली कम डाउन is my strong belief over the coming years.
And that's absolutely at at par and to the point, because even RBI's move, right, to ensure that tap and pin is extended beyond 2000 is a move in the right direction. So all relevant players are taking this step together, and it's I think a benefit that is going to suit all stakeholders here. So definitely, I think even from a consumer's perspective, I think the convenience of just tapping your card and going for transactions below 2K is while it is definitely a convenience factor, it is also a feel-good factor. So all that together is just helping this entire situation of promoting contactless payments during this lockdown. Fair enough. Yeah, good. Pallavi, this question's for you, and the question is, once the lockdown opens, what can be done to ensure customer engagement at store level, keeping in mind physical distancing and safety of the customers?
Very relevant in today's time. I think this is the new normal for us. Hygiene. There's some new words which have got added in the dictionary. Social distancing, hygiene. Suddenly, mask and sanitizers. So, मतलब हमारे अब dress code का part बन गए हैं. So, obviously, it's going to be very critical. There are a lot of norms which have been suggested, and I think it is going to be extremely important that we ensure that these norms are followed to the T. I think, in fact, मैंने खुद देखा है अपने neighborhood kiranas में some very, very simple and very good practices. A simple poster which shows the measures which the outlet takes, giving assurance to the consumers that we are following the hygiene requirements. Sending, again, like I said, WhatsApp messages, collecting orders on WhatsApp, reducing the physical touch, taking payment online and through a digital manner. Some basic. I mean, as basic as, in the outlet, why should I touch the door when I'm getting into the outlet? Can I just have a foot pedal or some other way in which I don't have to do any touch? So no touch, physically and otherwise, in every sense, is going to be the key. It starts at every level, and I think it is very important that we adapt it in every part of the functioning of the outlet. So extremely critical.
Absolutely. I think this will also give rise to a lot of these tablets and for menus. We can see quite a few wallet players have already approached QSRs to make sure that the menu also is displayed. So what you can get through these changes, right? You can get engagement also. As well as you can meet your eventual, I think, objective, right, of scale and keeping your customers as content as they were before. So yeah, I think all this is, coming together for, I would say, the greater good. Nice. Neha, this question's for you. In your opinion, how beneficial will offering lending services through tie-ups with NBFCs be in the post-lockdown period?
Sure. Absolutely relevant question, Clarin. And let me break it into two parts. There is financing which will be needed for our customers as they worry about their income and the spend. There is also financing which Pallavi also talked about needed for our merchants because there is a big question on the viability. But I think the underpinning, दोनों चीजों के लिए what is most important is, do I have the right transaction data to be able to share with the NBFC and get this spending, the financing going. So there was a time जब हम पहले बैंक जाते थे, इतना बड़ा फॉर्म भरते थे, उसके बेसिस पे हमें लोन मिलता था. That time has moved on. Like we are saying, payments are digital. Actually, lending is also moving digital using data. If we see, so I strongly believe that financing will come up. In fact, given that I work with a lot of banks and FIs, most are believing that there will be small ticket loans, but larger volume of these loans. So if we look at the large purchases, houses, nobody is buying. Cars, nobody is buying. People want financing for small ticket purchases. And that's really going up. And that's when the partnerships become important. Because can I share transaction data based on which this financing can be done? That's actually going to be the new phase of growth in lending.
Yeah, a fair point, right? And now with, the relaxation on certain guarantees, these small ticket items, I think from a, transaction wise, it is, and frequency wise, it is just going to increase. But just one point over there is that it needs to be as seamless. At the end of the day, while this is going to be, a must-have as NBFCs and as, issuers, I think the dispensation of these loans needs to be absolutely seamless because this is the time they can capitalize on this, surge in demand. I have now, some common questions again, and the first out of, that being, what are the tips for retailers on how they can, prepare for the new normal? If Neha, you could continue.
So tips for as consumers, as retailers come back, right? I think Glyril, जो first question था हमारा, that was quite a few of these things were covered. It is about saying मैं अपने customers को कैसे comfort दूं that there is hygiene, there is social distancing. कैसे मैं अपने customers की demand meet करूं कि what they want, which is in terms of which kind of brands, what kind of products am I keeping that? कैसे मैं customers की demand meet करूं in terms of मैं कैसे payment कर रही हूं? कैसे मैं demand meet करूं in terms of delivery? If I look at these four things from a customer angle, these four things are essentially what will help to win back demand. I think just the fifth one I will add is कैसे मैं customers को predictively खुश expect कर सकूं कि वो क्या करेंगे. Like the example Pallavi gave कि अगर हम अपने local shop पे जाते हैं, उनको पता है मुझे क्या खरीदना है. How do I extend that? So it is all about saying proactive fulfillment of customer. मुझे ना बोलना पड़े, merchant को पता है कि मुझे क्या चाहिए. I think that is what will be required to win back the customers.
Fair point, absolutely. Pallavi, what are your thoughts on tips for retailers?
So I will call it a very simple ABCD. Adapt the change. I think it's the need of the hour. I mean, ये जिसको हम लोग new normal कह रहे हैं, right? This is a new normal. Changes are happening, so adapt these changes. B will be more responsible as merchants. मतलब like I said earlier, कोई भी changed habit 2 दिन के लिए, 3 दिन के लिए करना, 1 हफ्ते के लिए, 10 दिन के लिए करना आसान है. But क्या हम उसको अगले 6 महीने के लिए कर सकते हैं? Whether it is hygiene, whether it is taking care, being more responsible. Third is care itself. So take care of your consumers, understand them. Take care of your own employees. आपके जो लोग हैं जो आपके साथ काम करते हैं, take care of them. And finally, D is differentiated value proposition. I mean, what is it जो कि आप दे रहे हैं जो कि कोई और merchant, कोई और retailer नहीं दे रहा है. And that just really comes down to basics again. हमने अभी digitized payments की बात करी, हमने analytics की बात करी. I think these are opportunities which are available. पहले ये opportunities were available only to the biggest of retailers. The beauty of India today is that ये options हमारे को आजकल बहुत simplified manner में available हैं हमारे merchants के लिए, big and small. So I would just say the small merchants especially, don't shy away from these changes. ये changes हैं, इनको adapt करिए, इनको समझिए. They are company like ours, many companies which are ready to handhold I mean, you were talking about NBFC and payments. I mean, companies like ours are today actively working on seeing कि हम लोग कैसे ensure करें कि financial viability keeps working. How there's liquidity in the market. So these are spaces which I would say one should keep working on. And अगर ये होगा तो न्यू नॉर्मल का क्राइसिस, आई मीन हम लोग सब इसको पास आउट कर लेंगे. आई मीन crisis come, crisis go, right? How we adapt to these changes is what really matters.
Yeah, I think very, very valid points, right? What comes to mind immediately from a headline statement is about embracing change. How you get over this and how you use it to maybe come out of this more successfully is eventually what will matter. So absolutely relevant points. I have one last common question, and that's a very important one, because it talks about usage of data and insights in driving customer acquisitions and the value it brings as an analytic service for merchants going forward. So, Pallavi, maybe you could go first on this one.
All right, thanks. So honestly, I think I did mention it, and so मैंने दो चीजें बोली. एक simplicity, and second is back to basics. I feel back to basics is what actually can help us come out of any kind of crisis. I mean, I work for Coke. Coke is a 134 years old company. We have seen all possible crises, wars, I don't know what all. And I've always learned in all this that actually focusing on basics to understand who's your consumer, what does she want, हम क्या SKUs रखें, हम क्या services दें, उसको complicate करे बिना simplistic way में. What is the biggest shift which is happening at the consumer today? And there is a big shift. I mean, we believe that right now the shifts are there which are more extreme, where I think Neha was quoting some data on how essential services में ही सारा खर्चा हो रहा है. Now, obviously, this will not stay, right? Eventually, discretionary spends will go up. It's a matter of time. But still, कुछ ऐसी changes होने वाले हैं consumer behavior में जो हो रहे हैं already, जो कि they are going to stick. So, only data, only insights can help us understand this. And if we keep on that, keep being ready for changes, don't think that नहीं जो हमारा इतने साल से चलता रहा है वही चलता रहेगा, कोई changes नहीं होंगे. This is ऐसे नहीं है. I know basics are important, but basics are important from the value systems. Changes still will happen. We need to keep technology, changes, insights hand in hand, and I think that's the core mantra of winning back.
Very, very, very insightful, right? Before I say anything, I mean, I'm just absorbing whatever was being said by Pallavi. Neha, would you like to give us some insight on this question?
Sure. So, and Glidel, the way I think about this question is, अगर हम merchant हैं या हम कोई भी है जो customer service में है, I break my customer into 3 parts. There is acquisition, कि मैं new customers कैसे win करूं. There is retention, कि जो मेरा customer है वो मेरे पास आए और दूसरे के पास ना जाए. And then there is a third part about engagement, saying मुझसे ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा खरीदे. In all 3, we can use data analytics. In acquisition, it is about saying कि I know, like you were mentioning, Claril, right? Every day हमारे पास कुछ 50 SMS आते हैं. We don't open all of them. I will open only if I find it relevant. So how do I decide कि आपके लिए क्या relevant है और मेरे लिए क्या relevant है? Can I send that message using data analytics? And हम सब Amazon use करते हैं. It's a very simple thing. अगर आप Amazon पे shopping करोगे, नीचे आता है what did customers like you buy, which is to give you an insight into अच्छा आप ये भी खरीद सकते हो. आपके जैसे अगर आपने ये बुक खरीदी है तो ये वाली बुक भी आपको पसंद आएगी. Netflix पे यही होता है, movies that you would like to watch. So it is about using data analytics to identify consumption patterns. कि कस्टमर को क्या चाहिए, क्या मैं डेटा के बेसिस पे कर सकती हूँ. That is the key in unlocking the value of analytics, I believe.
Absolutely, I think there is a big overlap and there is a big need to use analytics and loyalty together, right? One very important, use case that comes out of this is that most of the companies, and I'm sure you both would be using it as well, right? When it comes to send time notification, now companies also send emails and notifications based on the past preference of a consumer, right? So if I am, as Glidel, I open my emails at 10 o'clock in the morning, even if it is, an informative or a marketing email, the company will make sure that I get that email only at 10 o'clock, because the propensity for me to open it at that point in time is maximum, right? So yeah, it's very, very important. I mean, as we go, I'm not saying you can't use a loyalty program standalone, but as you want to grow your business, the use of these data, insights, analytics, and then reaching out to these consumers to gratify them, it makes the case much stronger.
Exactly. Glaren, I mean, I would like to call what we call 4 R's. It's the right product, using the right offer, at the right time, with the right channel. If you get these 4 right, क्या product चाहिए, उस पे क्या offer देना है, कब देना है, और किस channel के through भेजना है, SMS, call, WhatsApp, home delivery. So it is about saying, I do all these 4 right, I will get it right on the data analytics front.
Yeah, very, very valid points. I'm glad we had this. I'm sure the audience would have quite a few questions post this. So while we are complete with our questionnaires, I see a couple of questions that have been posted. The first one being, within the Indian economy, there are a lot of sectors that are unorganized and benefit from price arbitrage by bypassing GST. Do you expect these sectors to move from cash to online transfers? Neha, you could take this one.
Sure. So I think it's a very fair question, but in future, I think that move was already happening. The move will now get accelerated. And I say this for a few reasons. I think one is also from a regulatory perspective, there is a bigger push for adopting to GST. There is also, for example, all the Atmanirbhar package that the government has announced. It will be extensively tracked, and the tracking will also ensure what is it that I do with it, right? So I think making more of the unorganized sector moving to unorganized is the way it will go forward. Digital payments is one of the reasons which will help accelerate this change. But I think it will happen more as an overall economy itself, that we move more to the organized sector than the unorganized.
Yeah, and I think the point to note over here is that if you don't ride the tide, eventually you are going to be left behind. So you may choose not to do it now, but it's only a matter of time that the benefits that the overall ecosystem is getting to the fore to ride on these rails. I think as someone who is still trying to get some kind of waiver, I don't think it's going to help someone like me in the long run. So it's only a matter of time that I may decide to cut over. Fair enough. I'll stick with Neha, because there is one question here, and this is going back to the customer shift from offline to online payments. The question is, what will be the possibilities to have financing options such as consumer loans, as all the financiers are now approving the loans as the customer had before? I think the question is about how important are these loans going to be in an online world as against what it was in the offline space.
Correct. No, absolutely, Glaren. And I'll start with the second statement on the question, which is about saying financiers are not approving them as before, right? Again, I'll go on the side of banks and say, what do banks think right now? अभी तक हम merchants की बात कर रहे थे, अब मैं banks की बात करती हूँ. If I look at banks, actually banks are sitting on a lot of liquidity. उनके पास loan देने के लिए पैसा है. The problem is the risk has suddenly gone up. So, yesterday they would give me a loan very easily. Today they are not sure कि नेहा की job है कि नहीं, उसको salary मिलेगी कि नहीं, वो repayment कर पाएगी कि नहीं. Again, if I use data, almost 80% customers are starting to worry about loan repayment. कि क्या मैं अपना loan repay कर पाऊंगा जब मैंने अच्छे time में लिया था. So that riskiness is coming in the bank's mindset of approving these consumer loans. And therefore, what is important is the part that we spoke about, saying अगर मैं online payment करती हूँ, अगर मेरा merchant वो transaction data है उसके पास, how do we use some of these? A lot of NBFCs, a lot of fintechs are now using transaction data to give loans. And they are small ticket loans, but purchases के लिए उतना ही चाहिए अभी. There are many fintechs which start from 1,000 rupee loans. But that's what people need right now. So secondly, I would say actually from a consumption perspective, कोई factory नहीं लग रही है बड़ी अभी. So most demand will come back on the retail side faster than the corporate large ticket size. So I think it is a matter of time, but loans will come back as online payments continue to grow and transaction data rises.
Yeah, and I think that like you mentioned a fair point about liquidity. I think these consumers slash customers will eventually get those loans that they were eligible for before, right? It may be in different form or shape, but at the end of the day, they will still get what they had set out, to get to. So, and maybe because of this digital shift, probably there is this kind of apprehension bubble that has been created. But once things get more clearer and once the dust settles, I think even consumers like these, right, will realize that now things are more streamlined as it was before, right, in terms of dispensation and so on. Fair enough. Pallavi, this question is for you, right? It talks about do you see any change in marketing strategies going forward?
Oh, yes, definitely a lot. I think with this behavior change and shift which is happening, I think marketing is going to get more tailorized, is going to be more specific with more insights, much more. It was always shifting towards that, right? I mean, in the last few years, 4 or 5 years, we were seeing a shift in terms of using data to communicate with your consumer. I think it is going to only go upwards of that. Second piece which I definitely see happening is suddenly even marketing talking more about hygiene, safety, all of this. So I think it's going to be interesting times on how it plays out. We're also seeing a lot of shift towards internet based advertising and marketing strategies. I mean, that's going to be another very big piece which is going to increase. What we are also seeing from our perspective, our industry, is this entire online offline space which is really increasing from the interface itself with the consumers. And I think more and more companies are going to cash on these when they try to communicate to their consumers, create more basket based opportunities which are more customized in that sense. So definitely I think from where I'm sitting, I see many interesting stuff which will come out of this, many innovations which will come out of this. And I would say that the more changes which we see here is going to be only in the benefit of the retailers as well as the consumers.
Yeah, absolutely right, Pallavi. And in continuation of that, there is another question, and it talks about consumer brands, right? How will sanitization play an important role when it comes to consumer behavior, right? And the question is more about touching consumer brands, sipping. How will contactless play a role there?
Again, this is going to be, I think, the biggest change. I mean, suddenly हमारे बच्चों को ही समझ में आ गया है. Young kids, they have understood how important it is to be contactless and reduce contacts. And in our kind of industry, from a two-way consumption, one-way consumption is increasing. At-home consumption is increasing. So instead of being on the go and having higher consumption there, suddenly we are seeing more shift towards at-home consumption. So these are interesting spaces. And I think from a consumer brand perspective, it is going to play a very important role. How can I make my product consumer friendly so that there is it's a use and throw, more disposable opportunities which are there. At the same time, being more responsible in this entire space, that while it's a use and throw, it is towards environmental friendliness, because that's one of the biggest lessons we've learned, right? Don't mess with the nature. So I think these basic values are going to go a long way, and I believe many innovations which are going to come in this way. One more big change which we are seeing from my industry perspective and broadly from FMCG perspective is affordability. So affordable consumer solutions. Instead of so of course the premium wave which was there, I'm not saying it's going to go away. The consumers who want premium products are going to be there, but the bigger chunk is shifting towards affordability, especially after COVID. We see that increasing more, and I think more and more consumer companies will come with solutions which are more affordable for consumers, and that's going to be interesting for retailers too, right? Because affordable solution means higher turns, which is better for their working capital, which is better for their own inventory management. So again, very interesting space there, and I do believe many changes which which will happen now.
Interesting thoughts there. Neha, there's this question, and it has more to do with the banks, from a bank's perspective. It talks about what changes do you see from a bank's end while financing SMEs now as against how it was earlier?
Very interesting question. Actually, and Glidel, this is a move I would say most banks had started doing about a year back. 1 year ago, they had started, or maybe a little further if I go, GST demonetization time, it really small started. It picked up pace 1 year back. Now it has really spiraled. And there are 2-3 aspects of this. I think the way we are talking about digital payment, even on the bank side, digitization is going up. So gone are the days when I need to fill forms. I can get pre-filled forms online. When I log in, I will be able to get a lot of information. मैंने अपना PAN card दिया, Aadhaar दिया, all the information gets pre-populated, right? So there is a lot of digitization of the process itself. That's one part. The second part is the way the banks approve loans, right? It is no longer a question of stock statement, maintenance, what is my financial CSA certificate now. It is now about saying, can I look at your cash flow? And because payments are going online and there is a track record of what is the transaction that the merchants and SMEs are doing, there is what we are calling cash flow based lending. पहले मेरे फाइनेंशियल्स के बेसिस पे लेंडिंग होती थी, अब मेरे कैश फ्लो के बेसिस पे लेंडिंग होती है. अगर मुझे पता है कि मैं इतना सेल्स करती हूँ, then I can go and ask for that kind of a loan. RBI had always said MSME can get 20% of the annual turnover as a cash credit. पर वो turnover कैसे estimate करें? अगर लोग डिजिटल पेमेंट्स कर रहे हैं, बैंक्स आर मोर कंफर्टेबल यूजिंग दैट टू से अच्छा इतना आपका कैश फ्लो है, इसका मैं आपको 20% लोन दे देता हूँ. सो बोथ ऑन द प्रोसेस एज वेल एज द डिसीजन मेकिंग, both are changing in a digital way and use of data.
Interesting. Thanks for that, Neha. Interesting thoughts on that. There's this one interesting question, right? And I'd like to place it to both of you. And the question is, as a corporate person who started off and left a corporate job to run a startup, probably in Jan this year, and hit a roadblock, even before the startup could take off. What would you recommend? Going back to the corporate job or fighting it out? And Neha, you could probably go first.
Very interesting question. And I should give a disclaimer of saying I have not experienced it. So maybe I will just share my perspective. I would say there are a few things that you need to keep in mind when making the decision, right? आपको अपना situation सोचना है. And there are 4-5 things that I would think about. One is, do you have the money, the finance and the strength to fight out the crisis? क्योंकि crisis थोड़ा लंबा है, it will not be a full recovery quickly. Do you have the viability to fight it out? The second question is, the person needs to think about वो startup क्या है. We spoke about over the last 1 hour a lot of changes that are happening, right? In the consumer behavior, in the way companies are stocking up in the supply chain. What is the relevance of the startup in the world today? And if that is becoming relevant, then I would say, or if it is not that relevant, can you make it more relevant? So, it is about what we call adaptability or embracing change. Can the startup also adapt and make itself useful for the new normal that the world is coming to? If the answer to both of those is yes, I have the financial viability to sustain and I can create a product or a service which will be required in the new normal, I would say continue. If the risk aversion is there for genuine reasons or just as the way the product is, then maybe this was not the right time. But good luck in whatever you do.
Thanks for that. Pallavi, your thoughts on this?
No, I think Neha covered it well. I would just say, yes, I think the behavior is changing. The next 7-8 months are not going to be what they were 3 months back, right? And that's a reality. So I would just say that I think it's important to go back on the drawing board. Check, be sure. It's going to be tough, but at the same time, if you tide over this crisis, trust me, there is nothing which can pull you back from there. So I think it is about introspection and taking the right decision. Definitely there are a lot of support which is there, given by the administration, given by various organizations, to ensure that such businesses prosper. At the same time, going back to the drawing board and be very sure is, I think, extremely important right now. But wishes from our end, yes.
Thanks for that, Pallavi. One last question has come in, and we are just in the nick of time. The question is, do you think B2B marketing strategy will change post-COVID or that remains the same? Pallavi, maybe you could take that
Yeah.
first.
Yeah. So from where we see B2B, which is to the retailer, I think we are seeing certain shifts which are emerging. One of the big shifts we are definitely seeing, given the impact on supply chain itself, is prevalence of wholesale. And obviously I'm talking more from a consumer industry. And so wholesale channel itself is gaining relevance in these times. And because it gives the entire range of SKUs in an easy manner at a one point. And I think from that perspective, yes, there will be a change which we will see. The relevance is increasing. FMCG companies are looking at this channel extremely seriously and seeing how we can work closely with various B2B players, both organized and unorganized, to ensure that we keep up pace with these changing times. At the same time, we are available, and this helps the entire supply chain to take further towards normalization as we move towards new normal.
Sure. Neha, quickly, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, no, I think Pallavi covered most of it. I would just from a different angle of B2B from a service perspective, it is also about a distributed agile setup, because no longer will you be able, with the social distancing, we really will not be able to provide services that quickly. So it's about saying call centers. TCS has said 25,000 employees will work from home, right, in their B2B setup. So it's also from a service industry, how agile is your setup to quickly reset? And that marketing is the focus that people are having.
Thank you very much, Neha. Pallavi, I think we had a very, very, very interactive session. Thank you to all the attendees, for your time, and we hope we have covered most of your queries and questions in this limited time. I would humbly request all of you to share your valuable feedback post this webinar. Right? So thank you and stay safe.
Thank you. It was a pleasure being here. Bye.
Thank you so much. Stay safe.